Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Wild and Wingless. Tonight we've got something special for you, or today, special for you. It's going to be the Northern Territory state title preview. I've got with myself the Wild and Wingless expert analyst, LFA's own, Gary Fitzpatrick. Gary, how are you?
Good, thanks, Andrew.
That's good. Thanks for joining me and help me break down this stuff. So this weekend we've got the Wingless racing at Northline Speedway for the Northern Territory title. You've been there before. You've done a lot of miles, I guess, as involved with your team, LFA. Can you give us a bit of a background on what your thoughts on the track?
Yeah, it's an awesome joint. I'm a big fan of it. I feel like a lot of tracks around Australia are sort of quite they're a bit too far around the outside to really get wound up. But Northline is just perfect for wingless racing. I think it's got a really racy surface, and cars come and get better and get worse throughout the night. So it just makes the racing so good. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an awesome couple of nights of racing, and there are just so many little stories coming out of it leading into the weekend that are going to be just fascinating, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So all right, so we've got the track there. So the current champ is Mitchell Broom.
Yeah, Mitchell. We weren't up there last year for when Mitchell won the title, but he won it really quite well last year. He showed a good, really good speed, and disappointing wasn't going to be able to make it this year, but that's the way it goes. And therein lies the opportunity for someone else to claim a state title, and there's quite a few who could probably possibly do it.
Yep, fair enough. Yeah, so unfortunately, he won't be there. All right, let's have a look at the form guide, as we call it, the drivers. What are you hearing at the moment out there?
Yeah, like obviously Blake Walsh is going to be really hard to beat. Let's not shirk it. He's got some incredible speed.
Yep.
Freddie and the team have really done a lot of miles, and they've hit a lot of tracks throughout the Eastern Seaboard. If there's been a big race somewhere in the last 2 years, the Walshes have been there. And it's really starting to pay dividends now, isn't it? As he starts to, roll out week in, week out, and be dominant. And good on them for that. It's great to see, and love seeing young drivers. As everyone knows, I love seeing young drivers come through the ranks and start to really perform and kick on like Blake's doing. So he's going to be hard to beat, but he's beatable, and I think there's a number of people who can possibly challenge him this weekend.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we've got Blake Walsh, obviously, with his form lately up there, has been, as you said, very dominant. What are your thoughts as well? I know there's a young kid, Matthew Seeley, and he's starting to sort of spread his wings a bit, but he's starting to get there. Definitely putting in some ripper races of the last few nights. Hasn't come away with a win yet, but I sort of think it's not too far away. What are your thoughts on him?
Totally agree with you, mate. I think him and Cam Jenke are probably in the same boat. Both of them. Both have had some really, really good results. Week in, week out up there in Darwin this year. But that what they've got, which I think has really helped them both, is consistency. They're starting to both perform, week in, week out, and they're both, in their early 20s. So they've got a lot ahead of them, a lot to learn. But they're two guys who, I would love to see really be able to race some of these top guys really hard, and they've got the talent to do it, no doubt about
it. Yeah, absolutely. Flip the coin at the moment. We'll go to a bit of an older gentleman, Troy Carey.
Yeah,
that's that was a pretty cool name to see. I thought on the nomination list. You've had a lot of. Well, you know Troy quite well. What do you think about Troy with going back to? Well, he's won it before, hasn't he?
He has. Yeah, I think he won it. Gee whiz, back in 17 or 18 or something like that, when he was going up there pretty regularly. He's the dark horse, isn't he, Troy? Everyone's been punished by Troy on the low side at some point in their racing career. If you race the wingless in Australia, and Troy can get around the bottom of that joint as good as anyone. But in saying that, what I have seen from Troy over the years now that he's been racing in America is he does get up on that high line a little bit, there's some great footage of Troy rolling the high line at Kokomo one night.
Yeah, right.
With his 410 wingless on his Facebook page. So check that out. It's
Yep.
worth a look. Him and Kevin Thomas Jr., no doubt.
Yeah, right. Wow. Okay.
Unbelievably, just pounding the top. Troy's a dark horse, isn't he? I suppose the question for Troy is going to be around getting comfortable in the car.
Yes.
The Dennis brothers have done a fantastic job to put a deal together for Troy, and they're starting to invest really heavily in their racing up in Darwin. They've sort of had a little bit of bad luck, but they're not scared to get involved and get some good equipment together. I think they've put a car together for Troy. It might be a cool, I think.
Yeah, cool chassis. Yeah.
So Troy's going to have to come to terms with that. I'm not sure Troy's ever driven a cool before. He's pretty comfortable in his Eagles, and I know in America.
What's he do? It's Eagle in Australia and Triple X in America, I'm pretty sure.
Triple X, yeah. He's had a couple of Triple X's in America. So, yeah, fascinated to see how Troy goes there. As we all know, cools can be pretty tight on the right rear. So, it might suit Troy. You never know.
Yeah.
But I think Troy's going to be one of those guys who, it's going to be fascinating to watch how he adapts. And, I think he's going to do really well.
I think watch this space for Troy as well.
Yeah.
You got the second car in that stable there being driven by Daniel.
Yeah.
The NT12.
Yeah.
So yeah, they put he's got the Maxim, but as you said, they've put a lot of work into that team to sort of get it rolling. And I've actually heard a rumor that if he's starting on the pole, apparently he's got a very successful very successful record of if he starts on the front row, he normally gets the job done. So there's $500 on the nose if you can do it. So good luck to him. Good luck to him. All right. Who else you got your eye on?
Yeah, I think there's a few. I wouldn't call them veterans, but there's a few locals up there who are sort of racing weekly, aren't they? Who have been around for a while, and usually one or two of them step up. The likes of Tiedemann and Murdy and McGuinness and these sort of guys.
Yep.
Wiseman. These guys are really good.
Yeah.
At least one of them will step up this weekend. So be fascinating to see which one of those, or might there be a couple. But I know Daniel Baldone, he's not going to be there this weekend. I think he's working down in Canberra, so he can't race. But Jared's certainly going to be there. They've had a wretched year, the Goldonis, haven't they? They just haven't been able to get their cars running right. For some of the cars that are arguably some of the best cars in the country, it just shows you that you can have all your ducks in line and everything going in your favour. But when you're out of luck with these motors, you can be out of luck, can't you?
It seems like they've just had that unlucky side for a little while now, and once they get going good, I think it was Daniel got a win not that long ago, and it was quite convincing. Yeah. And then the next night, it just didn't want to go again. It was like back to its old ways. So, as you said, he's not there this weekend, but hopefully they can shake those demons.
Yeah, and we know the Goldonis have got a turn of speed like no one else, don't they? They can, when things are going their way, they can really get rolling. So you never know. Jared's there and he's good, and I think he's a genuine contender.
Yep. I've been told to watch out for I think it's the NT72 William Priest. Do you know much about him?
Yeah. Yet another young guy who seems to be coming along nicely, isn't he? He's some strong results. I can't say I know a huge amount about him, but once again another fascinating young guy. I'm once again looking forward to seeing him get around. There's another. The other one who I think we actually pitted next to them last year is Keelan Edwards.
Right. Okay. I had a feeling.
Once you meet Keelan, you'll never forget him.
Right.
And a hell of a great young guy and a hell of a great family.
Right.
We pitted next to them last year, and we sort of helped them out a little bit here and there to try and see if we can help them find some speed. They've just haven't been able to really get some consistent results, that team. I don't think it's due to lack of talent. I just think it just is what it is. They're sort of going through that initial hard time of realising that it's a tricky sport, this wingless stuff, and you don't have to be far out to be sort of spat out the back a little bit. But when we were there last year, if there's anyone who impressed me, it was most definitely Keelan.
Yeah, right.
In bursts, he had some incredible speed.
Okay.
I think one day that everything's going to come together for that team.
Well, that's all that needs to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
think
so
they're
Keelan,
really
yeah.
as good as anyone. So yeah, Keelan's I think one to watch as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got, I know there's a car from South Australia heading up there, Daniel Evans.
Mm.
You had much to
Yeah,
do with him?
not a lot to do with Daniel. You know, big speedway family, obviously, and making the trek up there for a weekend, which is a huge effort, isn't it, to
Huge.
get up there?
Yeah, huge.
You know, I appreciate Adelaide's is probably close as anywhere, but it's still a effing long way, isn't it? So,
Yeah. I remember Daniel from when we raced down in Mildura, where we saw you guys for the state title down there, and
yeah,
yeah, I remember him from that. So yeah, he he showed some promise in bits, and I think he's going to continue on.
yeah,
Another young kid who's coming up, so I think it's going to
yeah,
be good. I'm
yeah.
I'm deliberately holding back from one certain person, a good buddy
Right.
of mine, from another New South Welshman, Jason Davis.
Yeah,
So in the Total Tools car again this weekend,
yeah,
um, man, I just think I've been sort of a bit of a fan of Davis before we got talking and stuff. When
yeah,
we were watching from the outside in, being in a different division, also Troy Carey as well, and I sort of liked how they sort of operated, and then we got on the road with them and stuff like that. Whenever he goes up there, he makes sure he has a lot of fun, but just seeing him adapt to these, like, this is the first time, is it? The first time he's driving for this team? Well, not the first time. This campaign's the first time with the team, but
yeah,
I think he's done really, really well. They've just been off some wins there, but
yeah, yeah,
I think he's definitely, after last weekend, or pardon me, the other weekend, I think he's definitely looking pretty good for a strong shot. I mean, he's openly told me he's not too sure if he's got anything for the 97 for Blake Walsh, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, so I'm sort of
yeah.
watching Jason there. So
Yeah, I think I love about Jason is that he's a racer. You know,
yeah,
he's a hardcore racer, and if there's a race on and he can get there, he's there.
oh,
And for a family man with young kids and all that to be able to pull that off, I'm in awe.
it's
I'm
the
in awe
way
of
he
that.
gets there too. If he has to hitchhike and crawl across broken glass, he'll do it. He'll do it.
So good. He's and he's a good bloke,
Yeah,
And I actually had a good chat to him today, just on the messenger, just sort of getting a feel from where he's at. And he said as you sort of echo what you just said, he feels like he's probably a half a second or so off the pace, but. When you've got a new combination there,
yep.
Borchar's been around for a long time, and he's been around for a long time, so they're probably going to find, they're working at finding their little spot where they gel nicely. And he wasn't far off last week.
No.
In his defence, by the end of that feature, he was turning laps as quick as Blake. So,
Yeah.
I think he's a genuine shot. Looking forward to seeing him getting around tomorrow night. That's for sure.
Yeah, nice. So who else you've got? We've got Brad Warren.
Yeah, Brad.
You know a bit of a story about what's going on there.
Yeah, Brad. Gosh, they've had a bit of a tough time. Went up there with the Murdies,
Yep.
and you'd think that would be a really good combination, but it just didn't quite go as they'd all planned on the first weekend. I think they lost the motor on the first night, and then they had to sort of get a backup motor out, which was more stock than anything, and that sort of battled away, and they realised that they're probably realistically not going to be competitive with that combination. So they've been eagerly looking for a motor, and they found one down here, and I think they've shipped it back up there.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, talking to Brad about it, he said, "Look, we just can't pull the gear that we want to pull with that motor, so we need to make some other decisions." Brad's been, obviously got himself a WOW contract,
Yep.
which is awesome and very well deserved. He's been working with a really good friend of mine, Steve Garlick. Steve and I have sort of almost, we're sort of teammates in a weird kind of way down here. We're that close. We seem to tell everything. We talk about everything that we possibly can and share all our information together. So I know sort of Steve's been helping Brad to get comfortable in how Brad feels comfortable with sort of Steve's setup, I suppose you can say. And
Yep.
Might have even taken Steve's tune up there and a few different other bits and pieces to try and help, get Brad that feel that he wants to feel. So, Brad's a gasser. There's no doubt about it. He's probably he's not even that old, but he's probably the most unbelievable veteran in Australian Speedway. He'll race anything.
Right.
He has raced anything. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
And once again, a great bloke to boot. So,
Yep.
you know, watch out, Brad Warren.
Okay.
Once they get rolling, he gets really good. And he's one of the stalwarts of wingless racing. You know, he was one of the originals back in the day. So he's come and gone and come and gone. But at the moment, he's most definitely coming.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well,
That's good.
I mean, yeah, he's already the fact he's got a WOW contract. I think people are already going to be watching him. But yep, we'll keep a close eye.
Yeah.
What do you think about your thoughts on Jamie McGuinness? Another WOW driver.
Yeah, Jamie, another WOW guy. Once again, a real bit of a journeyman, isn't he, McGuinness? Bit like Van Ginnigan. Both of them, they're teammates, aren't they, for the weekend? So sort of works well that those two have sort of come together. Look, he's once again he's shown good speed. Sort of in and out of different cars over the last couple of years, but seems to have settled in his own gear pretty well. So, knows his way around that joint like the back of his hand. Probably does as many laps as anyone, hasn't he? Around North Line. So, once again, one to watch. In that sort of next half a dozen, that if any of them can get rolling, will and can take it up to Blake possibly.
Yeah, no, I think that's what we just want to see. Not that we dislike Blake at all. It's just
not at all.
He's been so strong, and you just want to make sure, like, we're talking some really talented guys in this field. Blake, I think you're a great driver, and I said that to you the other day, but I still think he hasn't got it one. So there's going to be some drivers in here who are going to be able to pull some stuff out. As we've said, you got the young kids at the moment who have got all the speed. As you said, it's just to get everything in one night to click. And I feel with drivers, when they do knock off that first win, and you'll know this 100%, they sort of unlock something inside themselves, and then they go, right, we can do this more often. And then they just start knocking wins off a lot quicker. So we've got some kids in here who haven't won yet, and once they click, it's wow.
And such an opportunity for them too, with the likes of Blake and Brad and Van Ginnigan and Davis there. Like, if they really want to be serious about getting to a national level, this is their chance to really hone their skills. Use these 2 nights to really work out what they need to do within their own team and with themselves as drivers to get themselves to that next level. So if they do decide to travel, come down for Australian title or down to Adelaide or whatever it may be, they can realistically compete rather than come down and go, oh gosh, this is, there's 2 or 3 that we're racing us up here, and all of a sudden you come to Victoria or South Australia and there's 7 or 8 of those sort of highly talented guys, and they can sort of struggle. But I think there's a huge talent pool in Darwin at the moment anyway, and if any of them want to step up, they certainly can. Yeah,
I remember speaking with someone just the other day, and they said how it was like, I can't remember how many years ago they said it, but they said once upon a time you used to get like 6 wingless and 20 sprint cars to a normal club show. Now we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing 20 wingless and we're seeing 6 sprint cars. And it just goes to show the people coming into the sport. We're getting a lot of people up there coming in. Every other state's getting people coming in, which is great, but we're seeing the class or division up there really grow. And there's definitely some names in there that we're going to see I'm hoping they sort of stay around in wingless, but we're going to see them for many years to come.
And Zach, obviously Zach Grimshaw last year and, previous years, it was always that guy. He was that.
Yep.
He could go with the best of them. He really could. He ran us pretty hard one night last year. He's as good as they get, but obviously he's moved on. So there is an opening. There most definitely is an opening.
Yeah. How do you think the track, so, because it's a 2-night show, do you reckon, and we've got sprint cars on, what do you think the track's going to do? Do you reckon it's going to stay very sort of juiced up for the first night so that the second night it can sort of blow off, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, interesting question. I think that, they've had sprint cars there, pretty regularly, but not anywhere near the levels that are starting to turn up now. And what we did notice when we were up there last year was that that cushion can get narrow. It can get super narrow. And you've got to really resist the temptation to want to tighten the car up too much on the right rear, or else the car will just drive around the fence and you will lose time by the car sort of squaring up and hitting the fence. So, making sure you don't run too much wheel offset and these kind of things, and get yourself settled on the cushion is kind of critical. It's not a punishing wall. It won't tear you to pieces necessarily, but it will cost you a lot of time if you continually hit it, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
But like what, and the other thing I did notice last year too was that they use a scarifier on the
Yep.
track up there. They sort of scarify, and I noticed that if the track had a lot of juice in it, that the little bits of little bits of clay would only move just a little bit. Just you might when they scarify and it pushes the clay around, it would just move maybe a couple of inches.
Mm-hmm.
If there was nothing under the surface, it would throw clay all over the place. So
okay.
It'll be interesting to see how they whether that first night's, because it's been incredibly drivey this year,
Yep.
probably more than usual. But maybe by Saturday night it might have blown right off, and the Troy Careys of the world might come to fore. We'll see.
Well, yeah. I'm hoping we get a good 2-lane racing like we've had for the last few weeks, which has been great. All right, let's wrap this up. Top 5, go.
Top 5.
Not particular order, just give us
Top 5. Yeah. I think Blake's going to be hard to beat, isn't he? Just so accurate. So accurate with his car placement, so good with his, keeping the wheels underneath him at the moment. He's in a real purple patch. So, yeah, you got to give it to him. Jason Davis has to be in it, doesn't he?
Yep.
Jason. Golly gosh, there's a myriad of other ones, isn't there? You put me on the spot there. What about? I think McGuinness should be in for a show.
Yep.
I think Troy's in for a show. I'd love to see Keelan, get up there.
Yep.
And you can't, the Jenkies and the Sealeys of the world, they're going to be there and thereabouts, aren't they? So that's sort of where I probably see it. And, Brad Warren, if they can get themselves together.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not over. It's not over. I mean, look, how many times did we go back, like last season, for the Chariots at least, and they had that caution with a few laps to go when I think it was unfortunately Blake ran over his dad, but it sort of threw the whole field up. So I think I'm not counting anyone out. I definitely think the Jenkies and the Sealeys will be there. I think Troy and Jason and obviously Blake. But it's going to be anyone's race. Oh, now speaking of the Chariots, did you hear about the fact that they've reached out to the Northern Territory Wingless to support their event?
Oh, next week, next week. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay.
So I heard about that, and I'm not sure that spots are limited, that sort of stuff. Not sure if the interstate drivers are getting a show, but I'm just glad that when tracks obviously need some cars to help with their events, they keep on looking to the wingless division, which helps make us be a viable option where people come to race. So I thought that was well done to Northern Territory. Yeah,
that's right. And the wingless race so well around there. They put on a show. It's not the wingless racing in Darwin is not a go grabber. Go and have a break for a spoiler in like that. It's get on the edge of your seat and see what happens. So I think it's a logical thing to do, and well done to them. And also we're supporting the V8 supercars.
Yeah.
V8 supercars, which is awesome too.
That's good. No, thank you very much for joining me on this quick night. Thank you everyone else for tuning in. We'll catch up with you guys shortly, and I'm sure we'll see Gary back on here again. But until then, see you guys.
Thank you, Andrew. Bye.